Apple isn't always the first company to introduce a particular product or service. But when it does finally decide to take a stab at something, it attempts to do it better than everyone else. That's the message Apple tried to get across when it announced its new Sign-in with Apple feature this month at WWDC. During the keynote address at Apple's annual developer conference, the company flashed onto the screen the standard login buttons from Facebook and Google, the same buttons you can use to sign into apps or websites today. They're often presented as the simpler solution for logging into a new app. Instead of going through the process of entering an email address and crafting a new password, you just use your name and password from a service you already trust. But Apple software chief Craig Federighi warned that your personal information sometimes gets shared behind the scenes, and these logins can be used to track you. Then he lowered the boom, revealing Apple's answer: Sign in with Apple, the company's own virtual login button. We wanted to solve this, and many developers do too, Federighi stated. It's true that some developers had been looking to Apple for a more private authentication option for apps, particularly as an alternative to Facebook Login, which came under intense scrutiny last fall after a massive security breach involving login compromised as many as 30 million Facebook accounts. One security expert who spoke to me for this story suggested that elements of Apple's authentication feature, which hasn't launched yet, may very well be more secure than other solutions. But other app makers have mixed feelings on what Apple has proposed. I spoke to a variety of developers who make apps for iOS and Android, one of whom asked to remain anonymous because they aren't authorized to speak on behalf of their employer. Some are skeptical that Sign-in with Apple will offer a solution dramatically different from what's already available through Facebook or Google. Apple's infamous opacity around new products means the app makers don't have many answers yet as to how Apple's sign-in mechanism is going to impact their apps. And one app maker went as far as referring to Apple's demand that its sign-in system be offered if any other sign-in systems are shown as petty. Apple as Wired's Lily Hay Newman wrote last week, Sign-in with Apple lets you use your Apple ID account credentials to sign into non-Apple apps. Like Facebook Login and Login with Google, it aims to centralize a group of accounts around a more secure login that you're more likely to actively monitor and maintain, rather than a one-off account you set with a weak password.